Hello, fellow Christmas lovers and enthusiasts. You are listening to Closer to Christmas. Today is August 26th, and that means there are 121 days left until Christmas. Welcome back to Closer to Christmas. So, yesterday we talked about the questions that can start popping up as kids get older. And today we're going to get into the part that tends to make parents nervous. What do you actually say when your child asks you one of those questions that you weren't quite prepared to answer? Well, you know what I mean. You're making dinner, you're driving somewhere, you're decorating the house, or you're doing absolutely nothing related to Christmas, and out of nowhere, your child asks something that makes you stop what you're doing at least for a second. And your first thought is probably something along the lines of, oh boy, here we go. The first thing I would recommend is not answering too quickly. I know that sounds strange because our instinct as parents is usually to answer our kids immediately. But with a sensitive subject like this, it can be really helpful to understand exactly what the kids are asking you before you decide on how you're going to respond. Sometimes the question sounds bigger to us than it actually is. Your child may be wondering about one tiny detail, but your brain has already jumped 3 steps ahead and started imagining an entirely different conversation. So take a breath and ask them what made them think about it. What makes you ask that? Or why did you think about that? Those questions can give you a lot of information. Maybe they heard something from a friend. Maybe they've been thinking about something for a while. Or maybe they've been testing out an idea. Maybe they're simply curious and haven't given the question nearly as much weight as you have. And that's why I think it's so important not to immediately turn the conversation into an investigation. You don't need to start with, who told you that? You don't need to start calling every parent you know. And you probably don't need to sit your child down at the kitchen table like you're about to conduct the world's most awkward job interview. Just talk. Let them talk. Listen to what they're actually saying. One thing I really like about approaching these conversations this way is that it allows your child to take the lead. If they're curious, they can ask another question. If they're satisfied with your answer, the conversation can end there. And if you realize that they've been looking for a bigger conversation, then you can decide how you want to handle that based on your child, your family, and what you think they're ready for. There isn't one perfect answer that works for every family. And I think it's important because parents sometimes put enormous pressure on themselves to say exactly the right thing. But your child doesn't need you to deliver a perfectly written speech. They just need you to be their parent. They need to know that they can come to you with questions even when the questions are awkward or uncomfortable. And if you don't know exactly what to say in the moment, that's okay too. You could tell them, that's a really good question, let me think about that. There's nothing wrong with taking a little time. In fact, I'd much rather see a parent pause and think than rush into an answer simply because they're nervous. And remember, one question doesn't necessarily mean that your child's entire relationship with Christmas is changing overnight. Growing up happens gradually. Kids notice new things, ask new questions, and eventually understand things that they didn't understand before. That's part of life. Our jobs as parents isn't to stop them from growing. It's to walk alongside them while they do it. And that brings us to tomorrow's episode, because sometimes the biggest problem isn't the question itself. It's the panic that happens inside the parent's head when they realize their child is getting older. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about that. And trust me, parents, there's no need to panic. Remember, the next time you hear my voice in this podcast, we'll all be a little bit closer to Christmas. Thanks for listening.